Hey, Dan here with another small stucco repair job. Maybe a little bit bigger than some of the ones I've shared with you before. This one has to do with some of our outdoor features that look like they've been compromised over time. If you take a look down here, you can see that someone did some stucco work and then painted over it, and we have pretty significant bubbling. And I've already pre-scraped a lot of areas along the front of this, and I'm going to try to find a repair product, put it over, and I'm going to see if I can get good results. I thought originally that I may have to re-stucco the whole thing or hire someone, but I figured I will try it myself first, and if it works, that'll save me a lot of time and money. So the first thing I'm doing is just going in with a scraper and taking all of that material off. Since there's paint on top, I'm a little concerned about the adhesion of new stucco, so I'm just try to take off as much as possible, and we are going to paint over it when it's done, so I'm not going to worry about color matching or anything. And a little wire brush, just to make sure it's all nice and clean. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to go and I'm going to find a repair product, try to follow the instructions, and I'll come back to you and show you how that works out. Okay, so I'm picking up where I left off, and as you can see, I already did the job, and this is the results. It really looks fantastic. But because it was my first time doing it and I never used these products before, I really needed to work quick, so I didn't have time to video. So I'm going to show you what I did and then do a little patch over here just to give you an idea of what it took. So here's your tools. You want some good gloves, some nitrile gloves, something that you can work with. You want to clean the area off really good. You saw in the previous video, we cleaned it all off, and then I made sure that there was no dust or anything left on the surface. You're going to need a trowel. You're going to want a float, and this is how you're going to apply the material, push it into the cracks, get it smoothed out, and then the most important thing is this coarse foam float. That's what's going to give you the finish at the end. So the product that I decided to use, because I saw another video where a guy demonstrated this really well, is this Rapid Set Stucco Patch product. Sets up in about 20 minutes. I had probably a full 20 minutes working time using cold water. I liked it. Let me show you how this works. We're going to mix some up and we're going to do a patch over here. And then afterwards, I'll come back with my last video, and my little helper, Heidi, from Tool Time, she's going to show the result after it's painted up, but I think it's going to look fabulous. All right, let's go mix them up. Okay, so first thing we're going to make sure is we protect the area, because you're going to do a small job or a big job, but bottom line is you don't want a second job cleaning this stuff up. And it tends to get on your feet and shoes, and the dust gets everywhere. So do a good job protecting the area, especially if you got nice pavers or something. You're going to take a 1-to-4 ratio, 1 of water, 4 of the product. I'm using about a half a cup of water here. I'm going to pour it in. By the way, Dunkin' Donuts, I love Dunkin' Donuts too. We're going to put in a bucket, clean bucket. We're going to put in about 4 times as much product. And then we're going to take our trowel, we're just going to mix that up. We're trying to shoot for consistency. They say that's kind of peanut butter like, or the key is if you hold your trowel upside down, it doesn't fall off. Now, I'm going to probably go a hair thinner to make it a little easier to work with, but this is still too thin. Okay, so now we've got the consistency, add a little more product, and it's looking pretty good. If I take the trowel, hold it upside down, it's got to stick to it. So I think that's good, and we're going to start applying it. We cleaned this area. You can see I filled it with some caulk, so I didn't want to have moisture problems. It was a pretty big crack, and I'm going to try to just make that look nicer by going over there. So we're going to take the float, that's how I do it, watching videos, and put a little material on the float. The corner, so it could be a little trickier. And normally you're going to go like this if you're just filling an area, and you're going to push up and mush that into all the cracks and places. I'm working with a corner here. It's going to have to be a little bit handwork, but I'll show you how it goes in a second. So let's get that going. But the key is you want to push pretty hard with this float. You want to mash the stuff into the cracks. And going from the bottom up is usually the preferred way of doing this. A little tricky in here. Put a little on the front edge. Kind of work it in there. So because this is a corner, I'm also going to go around the corner, and then I'm going to feather it in a little bit so that it looks nice and smooth. So I'm going to push more material. Even though there was no crack on this side, I'm going to try to get that corner to look nice and smooth, and then feather it out towards the edges. If I have to, I'll wet the mix a tiny bit just to kind of help the feathering of the edges so it doesn't look thick and clumpy. Okay, so now we're going to float it. So we've got the material on. I sprayed it a little bit to get a little wetter, just to get in all those nooks and crannies. And we're going to take the float, we're going to soak it, and then we're going to make sure that we get as much water out as possible. So we kind of want to wring it out real good. You have to push it somewhere else. And then we're just going to come on over here, and we're going to gently feather all this in. Kind of work it in. You don't want to go in perfectly straight lines. You kind of want to do little arcs, kind of smooth things as you go along so it looks natural. And that corner is going to be a new trick for me. So I'm going to try to delicately paint that patch in there. You don't want it to be too smooth. You're looking to match the texture of your existing stucco. Mine's kind of coarse, and by the way, I should have mentioned that the Ready Set mix has a 16 to 20 grit in it already. So you can see, maybe you can see that some of the grit from yesterday is still deposited in the float. And that grit is going to help give that bumpy texture that matches the rest of the job. All right, so there's the job. We smoothed it out. I smoothed it out real good. Got a little bit of extra in the corner there just so that it looks nice and smooth. And you can see to the left is yesterday's patch, and there was a knockout hole there. I filled that all in, and now we've blended the new over to the old, and I went a little bit over, as you can see, to the right side as well, just to make sure that's all blended in. And let's hope it sticks real well, and we'll paint it up, and I'll show you the final result in the next segment. So I promised I'd get back to you and show you the finished product, and here it is. This is about a year later. I did this in, I think, the early summer. So this went through a full summer. It went through a mild winter, and again through a whole spring and early summer now. And this is the final result. I got my beautiful tool girl Heidi to do the final painting up of the stucco wall. We painted across here. This is the job that I showed you in detail. That corner work, it looks really great. Took out all of the old stucco, repainted it, and across the front here. I think it looks really great. Saved a lot of money on this job. I think in the end, probably the materials cost about $100, maybe $150 maximum. If I had hired somebody, this would have definitely been thousands of dollars. A couple hours of work. I'm really satisfied with the results. So if you try to do this yourself, remember, be confident. I can do it. You can do it. I'm Dan the Handyman, and I'll see you on my next video.